For Good is a wearable tech company. We make safety wearables for women to help connect them to their loved ones and to help them get help when they're in trouble. And Athena is our first product. It's named after the Greek goddess of wisdom, courage, power, and wisdom. And it's a wearable that you can clip on any which way you want. And when you're in trouble, you can use it to activate an alarm, send messages to your family and friends, and also call 911 services depending on the mode that you want to use.
So talk me through it. So I am gonna say I'm here in Austin at South by Southwest, and I want to go. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go for a run late at night. So I start running, it's dark, so I've got the Athena and I activate it. And then what happens? So I press a button.
Yeah.
And then,
well, there's two modes. If
Okay.
you are nervous initially before the run, what you could do is you could triple press Athena, and what we'll instantly do is send your GPS location to your pre-programmed contacts. So when you first set up Athena, you select your contacts. It could be your neighbor,
Right.
a loved
Like
one,
my mom,
a
my partner,
colleague.
yeah.
Exactly, and it will send them a text message saying that you feel unsafe, and basically saying, "Hey, watch over me." As I travel to my destination. And that text message, as soon as I click on it, it opens a browser with your location and they can quickly communicate with you. During the run, if something were to happen, you can press and hold the button for 3 seconds. And in addition to sending you coordinates, it sounds a loud alarm, 95 decibels, and then it can also call an emergency number.
so you have been working on this for a couple of years now, but you weren't always going to go into this industry. Take me back a little bit. I know that you have spent a long time in Philly, but originally your family is from Kuwait, right? Tell me a little bit about your background before getting into wearable tech.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my family is Palestinians. They moved to Kuwait when they were married. I was born there along with 4 of my siblings, and we're actually refugees of the Persian Gulf War in 1990. So when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait for its oil, we were sitting in a bomb shelter when one day 2 U.S. ambassadors came in asking for my little brother. They told us we had an hour to pack 2 bags, and they brought us to the United States. And it was all because my little brother had just been born in Philadelphia 7 weeks prior. And because he was a U.S. citizen, they lifted us and brought us here for his safety.
And your little brother now works with you, is that
And
right?
my little brother is our head of supply chain, yes.
Wow, the way things work out. So
Yeah.
but you went to college in Philadelphia, right? And you
I did.
worked a while to get your degree. Tell me a bit about that. I know that you sort of worked at the same time to put yourself through school.
Yeah, it was, when I went to apply for colleges, I came across this field in the application asking for my social security number. And I didn't know what it was, so I went to my parents to get it. It turns out I didn't have one, so they reached out to an immigration lawyer, and a couple weeks later, we got some shocking news that even though we had been intentionally plucked out of the bomb shelter and brought here, somehow our paperwork slipped through the system and we were considered undocumented. So we were considered illegal. So my parents went through the process of applying for me to get my social security number, but without that 9-digit number on that little blue card, you really
man.
can't do anything. So I couldn't get my license, I couldn't apply for college. I just watched my friends get on with their lives, wondering when I can do the same. And then in the meantime, I worked under the table. I worked making $5 an hour for about 8 years. I did a bunch of various things. I cleaned, I worked at a dry cleaner, I worked as a hostess, as a waitress, whatever I could get to make money. And at the same time, I found a way to go to school. My mom, bless her heart, she ended up storming down to the local community college with my report cards on my dean's list letters, telling them, demanding that
This
they
girl
let
is
me
smart,
go
needs
to
to go to
school. And they let me take 6 credits at a time for 4 years, and I was able to get my associates, and then I was able to take that and go to Temple University, which is where I got my bachelor's.
You finish your degree, you're done. And then how do you get involved with what was the impetus for founding War for Good and for creating Athena?
Sure, yeah. So my very first company was called 123 Link It. It was a blog advertising company. It helped bloggers make money from their content. My advisor ended up actually acquiring it 2 years later. And after that acquisition, I became a U.S. citizen a couple months later.
Perfect timing.
April 19th, 2012 at exactly 10:39 a.m. And it was an amazing day. For the first time, I felt like, I had an identity, I had rights, I belonged, and the very first thing I did is I booked a 6-month trip outside the country. And a week after I came back to Philadelphia, I was living downtown. My neighbor went out to her car, and she was suddenly grabbed from behind, dragged into an alley.
Jesus.
She was severely beaten and brutally raped. And when I read the news story the next day, it was like a light bulb moment.
In the beginning, I imagine it was a lot of mothers of college-age students, But I hear that it's evolved a little bit in the sorts of people that are looking to buy this for their own safety. Can you tell me a bit about in the last sort of 9 months what you've seen happening?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we launched an Indiegogo campaign last year to gauge interest. It was right when we were finishing prototype, about to end manufacturing. Our goal was $40,000 that was going to help pay for the tooling for Athena. And the response was just incredible. I mean, we hit our goal within the second day.
Wow.
By the 10th day, we were at 100,000. By the end of the campaign, we had hit over 300,000. And the responses from people, they came in from all walks of life, all ages. We had parents that wanted it for their kids, maybe for the kids with medical conditions, parents that wanted it for their own parents as a replacement to existing emergency services,
Right.
Parents that wanted it for their college students, runners, joggers. It was just a whole gamut of different types of people.
And since the election, has there been a different kind of customer coming forward expressing interest?
Yeah, since the election, we've had people, minorities, people of color, Muslim women that wear hijabs publicly, reach out asking when the device will be available so that they can have it in their hands because they feel threatened and they're being harassed.